Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into a genuinely fascinating exchange from back in 2008. On one side, we have this bold philosophical and spiritual movement called Lifechanyuan, founded by a guy named Su Feng. And they're making this ultimate, massive claim that they actually possess the capability to unify global consciousness. But on the other side, we have some intense, pointed skepticism. It is a classic clash between utopian vision and pragmatic doubt, and we're going to break down exactly how this movement tries to justify its grandest promises.
So a skeptic named Yuan Yi looks at this grand claim of unifying human consciousness, and he immediately points to history. He argues, wait a minute, historical heavyweights like Buddha, Jesus, Marx, and Confucius all advocated for unified human thought, right? And they all ultimately failed to achieve it globally. Yuan Yi is essentially asking, if these monumental figures couldn't pull it off, why on earth do you think you can? He literally calls the very idea laughable.
And Yuan Yi, he doesn't just stop there. He completely doubles down on his interrogation. Now, he acknowledges that, sure, everyone knows transforming human consciousness is the key to a better world, but he demands to know what concrete capabilities Lifechanyuan actually possesses to make this happen. As he puts it, talking is easy. Actually implementing a global shift? That requires tangible power and a real method. He's challenging them to stop speaking in abstracts and lay out exactly what they bring to the table.
To address this skepticism, Su Feng laid out a methodical three-part rebuttal. First, unifying global consciousness. Second, the core capabilities. And third, concrete steps forward.
Let's jump right into Section 1, unifying global consciousness and addressing the fragmentation of humanity.
Here, Su Feng identifies a massive historical gap. On one hand, you have his view of human history, which is that humanity is completely scattered, engaged in constant struggle, and burdened with suffering. And why is that? Well, according to Su Feng, it's because no one has ever been able to comprehensively answer the ultimate mysteries of the universe. Now, on the other hand, you have the goal, great harmony. This is a utopian state where the world becomes one family, paths return to one source, and people literally leave their doors unlocked at night. Su Feng argues the only way to bridge that gap from a scattered humanity to great harmony is by finally solving those ultimate mysteries.
So here is Lifechanyuan's absolute boldest assertion. They believe they are the ones who have finally provided logical, scientific, and spiritually perceptive answers to these deep cosmological mysteries. We're talking about explaining the origin of life, the universe, and the very mechanisms of civilization. In their view, if you just present humanity with the absolute, undeniable truth about existence, well, global consciousness will naturally just unify right around that truth.
That brings us to Section 2, the core capabilities, specifically the cosmological and philosophical doctrines.
The source text outlines a massive, highly structured array of cosmological claims. Su Feng maps out an incredibly complex universe. Get this, we're talking 36 dimensions of space and 20 mathematically derived parallel worlds. It's all built on three fundamental elements: consciousness, structure, and energy, which are then governed by 8 forces. He isn't just offering vague spiritual ideas here. He's presenting a hyper-specific, genuinely audacious architecture of reality that he claims his movement uniquely understands.
And according to this philosophy, the universe isn't the only thing that's highly structured. Human beings are rigidly categorized as well. Based on a mix of instinct, desire, emotion, reason, and spiritual nature, Lifechanyuan maps out a structured ascent for humanity. It starts down at the bottom with ignorant people, moves up through worldly people and mortals, reaches the sages, which, by the way, is exactly who they actively try to recruit, and ultimately culminates in celestial beings. It's literally a spiritual ladder that they claim to guide people up.
Now, to actually climb that spiritual ladder from mortal to sage to celestial, the teachings outline 8 distinct modes of thinking that are required for their followers' mental evolution. It starts with your basic material and image thinking, and then it evolves into highly complex, abstract concepts, things like Taiji thinking, formless thinking, and ultimately what they call Handun thinking. They claim that teaching these progressive modes of thought is a core capability they possess to actually transform human consciousness.
But grounding all of this immensely complex 36-dimension cosmology, the fundamental principles they teach are actually pretty straightforward. They assert that all of humanity should follow 3 universal rules: a deep reverence for what they call the greatest creator, a reverence for life itself, and a reverence for nature. These 3 principles basically act as the moral anchor for all of their elaborate spatial and temporal theories.
Feng also introduces a really crucial biological and spiritual claim. It's this concept of a sixth sense, which he calls spiritual perception. He argues that humans possess this perception entirely separate from our standard sight, hearing, taste, smell, and touch. According to the text, activating and utilizing this specific spiritual perception is absolutely necessary to truly comprehend the reality of heaven. And, as you might guess, guiding people to use this sense is another unique capability claimed by Lifechanyuan.
Moving on to Section 3, Concrete Steps Forward, or taking the cosmic philosophy into the real world.
Because Feng doesn't just rely on magic or theory to change the world, he outlines 3 highly specific, actionable measures to actually build their new era. Let's look at exactly what these 3 steps entail.
Step 1 is strictly educational and editorial. Feng states that they have to continually refine their theoretical system. The whole goal here is to distill these massive, complex concepts, the parallel worlds in multidimensional space, into the absolute simplest and most accessible language possible. The idea is that for global consciousness to truly unify, the truth has got to be easily digestible by the masses.
Then, Step 2 focuses on targeted outreach in recruitment. They aren't just broadcasting into the void. They are specifically seeking out those individuals that they classify in their hierarchy as sages. By continuously expressing their ideology, they aim to attract these like-minded, spiritually resonant people so they can recognize the movement, understand its goals, and officially enter into their ranks.
And the final, and undoubtedly most grounded step, is building a physical reality. They call it the second home. This isn't just a metaphor, guys. It's a physical commune designed to serve as a living, breathing prototype of their utopian vision. By creating an actual physical space where people live according to these principles, they believe they're providing humanity with a tangible, working model of the Lifechanyuan era.
To cap off his rebuttal to the skeptic, Feng claims they aren't just talking about doing this, they've already begun successfully executing the plan. He asserts that they have physically unified dozens of these sages whose minds resonate at the same frequency. He says they've brought them together into this intentional community, this second home, creating what he describes as a joyful, free, and blessed family unlike anything else on Earth.
As we wrap up this explainer, I really want to leave you with a final thought to ponder. We've seen Yuan Yi's intense skepticism, and we've walked through Feng's highly detailed multidimensional response. But does this specific blend of cosmic theory, structured human categories, and physical community building genuinely prove they have the capability to succeed where history's absolute greatest figures could not? Does a prototype commune really equate to a unified global consciousness? It's a fascinating question about the intersection of human ambition and spiritual belief, and I definitely encourage you to keep exploring these concepts. Thanks so much for joining me.